Big Boss Filmworks and Big Boss Books presents Courtney Robert Brown Jr.'s follow-up to the book Motown Mafia. Motown Mafia, big man on campus. Corey Black Jr. is a newly pledged frat member who is in college to make his mother happy and proud that he'll be the first man to go to college in the family. He's also the nephew and son of two of Detroit's most notorious drug kingpins. His father, Corey Black, has fled authorities. His Uncle Joe Black is the reigning figure in the narcotics trade. Uncle Joe has Corey do runs for him to carry on the family business, laundering money and running narcotics. Uncle Joe also owns real estate with Corey's mother, who has a great deal of control in the business. Corey Black Sr. wanted Corey to go to school to bring legitimacy to the family, but Corey had other plans. While in college, with the help of his friends and his girlfriend, he starts and grows a successful drug operation. Unbeknownst to Uncle Joe and Tracy, Corey enjoys the most exclusive strip clubs, frat parties, casinos, and women that the city has to offer, all while basking in his newfound popularity. Corey finds himself conflicted with his responsibility to running the family business and his obligation to his college studies. However, he'll have to make things work in his favor if he wants to remain the big man on campus. The names have been changed to protect the guilty and the innocent.
Was regular.
That was that era. So the
Which
price
is
was
pretty shot. I mean, that's $60 an 8-ball.
That's showing you how much dope they were bringing.
It's like $18 a gram or something.
In New York.
I mean, it had some cut, but whatever. It's still $18 a gram.
Right. In New York, they went down. It was on the streets. They were about selling grams to $20-25.
Of really good stuff.
Fish scale.
Untouched.
Fish
Close to
scale.
untouched.
Fish scale, puppy. Fish scale.
$20.
Seafood diet.
And that means you didn't have to buy 1,000. You could buy 2 grams.
Yeah,
or 1 gram.
Yeah. So the 80s, you know, I was watching that movie Snowfall, which started off good, like all those kind of shows. By the second, third season, they just...
Well, it becomes a soap opera.
It loses all semblance to reality. But it did...
Freeway Rick is upset at John Singleton, boy. He
stole
his... He could have put him on and said, here's 100 bands, be a consultant. They could just throw him a bone. They didn't...
Nothing. No. So I'm like, even though it is blatantly obvious that he took the Freeway Ricky story.
And not only the Freeway Rick story, you know, to make it successfully feel like, oh, this is what LA was like in '82. Someone's got to tell you a lot of just, this is how we wore our hat. This is our slang. Oh, well, the Bloods and Crips wasn't around then, but on Easter of '83, you started seeing them, or whatever the case may be. Someone's got to tell you all those details.
I wondered about that, but he didn't bring Freeway into it.
No, he didn't. No. Freeway was,
Hollywood's fucked up like that.
So
Hollywood's
I'm supposed to interview someone as part of the BMF thing, and they're upset about
the show.
Oh, of course, but I knew all that. We know that from White Boy Rick and all that.
Right.
So we kept your story close to the cuff.
Yeah.
Now to control it and make slow, long money, and then maybe an opportunity arises, but to let someone else control your story, your family story.
It doesn't.
And they're not going to give you $20 million.
Right, you're going to get $50,000 until you go about your business.
And you get to be in a movie.
And you get to be in a movie.
Maybe.
Now we can figure out a little bit better on our own.
Thanks. We done already lacked that.
A bunch of times. But so I feel for them, but so they're shooting BMF, as you know right now.
No, the people are saying, I'm pulling up in my own neighborhood and the streets are blocked off, and I'm talking about I can't walk around, and then I look and it's like the characters, the scene is based on me, and then you tell them I can't walk around my own neighborhood.
Right, what the fuck?
Because people upset.
Yeah. Well, what about this whole convergence as Hollywood and the streets? I was saying something that I think us people
really
in the truth
converging. It's Hollywood preying. That's how predatory Hollywood is. They can prey on the streets. Think about that.
Yeah. Because I was thinking it reminds me of hip hop in the early days.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how, because I was in New York again after that summer of 87 and dealing with Eddie, Righteous Rev, that building on Geneva.
Righteous Rev.
The Righteous Rev.
And that building that my father grew up in and that you then had, that ended when a guy electrocuted himself doing some stolen electricity,
in 88.
right?
Never forget, so a year fast forward, if I go back in the story, me and Eddie are driving down Hamilton. Something.
I got a picture of my father in front of that building.
Yeah, we're driving down Hamilton and we see the ambulance and the first responders, right? Because we were
EMS, they call it in Detroit.
On our way back to the building, and we pull up about 2 blocks from Geneva, north. I think we're at North.
Oh God,
that block north. We pulled up on North and asked somebody, and they was like, your man had somebody in there trying.
North.
They don't know about North. They don't know about North. They had the man trying to do something. He hit the wrong thing. Gas hit him. Rest in peace. And the building never reopened after that.
Yeah, no, I just remember it as a Hulk looming over Hamilton.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a castle.
And Highland Park was the Detroit of Detroit.
Yeah, and
it was all the bad things about Detroit.
The big man had spent some money fixing it up when he first got out. He remodeled it and
oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was living there in 83, 84? Still okay, or?
Okay, but mostly.
It was nicer than who qualified to be in it, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just wanted it okay, nice. Okay.
He wanted it okay, and then he wanted, because who was it? Jimmy Hurley was one of the tenants there.
Who's that?
Jimmy Hurley. The Hurley family's big. They had the gas station on Hamilton and 6 Mile. First one
that was black
beer. That was black owned. Then he had his own party store and liquor store. But the Hurley family, shout out to them, old time Highland Park entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They owned a bunch of property and ran around the streets too. But yeah, so we were saying about 87.
If you're saying the confluence of hip hop,
right? So I remember when hip hop, when it began, because I ended up moving to New York because my dad didn't appreciate the fact that I had paid myself without his permission $200,000,
and you had to do a little money laundering.
And
as we talk about in Motown Mafia.
As we talk about in Motown, I mean, we want to talk about this whole money line, how that thing actually keeps going. So anyway, I'd overpaid myself about 200 large, and they were like, you need to go away. And get
Courtney.
Get your life together, young
Courtney.
Because you got issues right now, which I did, to be totally honest, a lot of issues. But so when I get to New York in '87, people like Eric B, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, they were known in our community, but they weren't known in the greater society at all, right?
Even outside of New York.
And even today, like right now, Big Meech is a big deal, and he's known in our community. But if we were to go out to Birmingham and interview 100 people,
only a few would know.
Only a few would know who Big Meech is. But that's going to change.
It is.
That's going to change. These characters, the Frank Matthews and the Big Meeches and Eddie Jack and all these people who are in our culture already names people know. But Hollywood seems to be content upon, because you got Will Smith about to play Nicky Barnes.
Yeah.
Well, everybody in our community already knew who Nicky Barnes was. Now the world's about to know who Nicky Barnes was.
Movies are so insidious because when you take a guy, let's just talk about these black gangster films. When you take a Denzel Washington or Will Smith, who are real movie stars, women love them, guys want to be them.
Yeah.
And you have them, even if they're trying to play a low-down snake, they're still who they are. So you're going to like them. Whereas the real Nicky Barnes and the real Frank Lucas is something that the average person can't really conceptualize.
Yeah, timing was everything. We were out in Hollywood first pitching this thing. We'll get to that thing because we brought up something we were talking earlier about Ben Horowitz. Shout out to Ben Horowitz. Anyway, he hooked us up with a guy named Michael
Andreessen Horowitz, and that's
Andreessen Horowitz, Masters of the Universe, Silicon Valley, that crew again.
Your college buddy.
Remember that note, but on that same trip,
Courtney Brown got my little documentary that I helped him make, Motown Mafia, little Detroit liquor store DVD. watched by Michael Ovitz, who, if you don't know who that is, in any given year when they put those magazines, top 10 Hollywood power players, some years he's been number one.
Yeah. So,
and he watched it and he said, you know, this is really good. But I don't, this is a $50 million movie, and I don't even know who makes $50 million movies because I make $300 million movies.
Right, named Iron Man.
Yep. And I want to send you guys to somebody, but I don't even know them people.
Yeah, and in that same trip, David Horowitz, Ben's dad, kind of famous conservative pundit.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna get into. I'm just say David Horowitz is my guy. Guy over the years has been nothing but stand up with me. I don't know people. Some people in my community, people got issues and problems with him.
Well, it feels like he knows a lot about the black paint, like the inner workings, and he's just exposing it.
Yeah. So, but he tells me, as we're in Ben's 6,000 square foot guest house, the guest house is 6,000 square foot, right?
The casita.
And he says, you know, Courtney, you know what the real story is? Because he like read the whole Motown Mafia book in like 45 minutes. You know, he was like, oh, that's a pretty good story, Courtney. And he's like, but you know what the real story is? He's like, why did you let me in to my son's guest house?
Facts.
And why are we here in the same
room? You could open the movie right.
It was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney.
Lewis Stevens,
Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, you know, I'm a real estate retail guy. You know, that's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, you know, we're gonna do it. You know, sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.